There are hours of the night that don't belong to the living. Hours that breathe differently. Hours that stretch and warp the air around them. Hours when even the moon seems to hesitate. Evelyn Hart had learned to walk through those hours without fear. Fear made noise. And noise gave things something to follow. It was 3:16 a.m. when she reached Birch Lane. Fog clung to the street in long ribbons, silvered by the dim streetlights that flickered as she passed. The houses were old, leaning slightly as if exhausted from holding decades of secrets. Her breath left her mouth in a soft cloud. She checked her watch, a vintage silver piece held together by age and memory. The cracked glass showed the impossible time it had marked for 5 years. 3:17 a.m. Frozen. Moving. But tonight, she could feel something shifting inside it. Almost like anticipation. She stepped onto the porch of the house mentioned in the anonymous email. The message had been short. Come before dawn. Something walks in the locked room. No name. No signature. Just coordinates and a feeling. Evelyn reached for the door. It opened with a sigh as though the house had been waiting for her. Inside everything was still. Not abandoned, not chaotic. Just still. That unnatural kind of stillness that hangs in a place where something has interrupted normal life. The air smelled faintly of dust and lavender soap. Her boots made soft taps on the wooden floor as she walked through the living room. With each step she adjusted her breathing, listening not to the present, but to the past. Evelyn wasn't gifted. She wasn't cursed. She was simply born with a sensitivity most people, mercifully, never developed. Residual noise perception. The ability to pick up faint acoustic imprints left behind by moments powerful enough to scar their environment. Sometimes painful moments. Sometimes violent ones. Sometimes desperate ones. This house was full of them. She stopped in front of the door to the bedroom. The one that was supposed to be locked. The door frame was old. The paint chipped. The brass doorknob cold to the touch. The silence around her thickened. Evelyn closed her eyes. Her senses opened. At first she heard nothing. Then, a single thin breath. A voice. Maybe a whisper. Distant, like a memory dissolving underwater. She turned the knob. The door creaked open. The room was empty. Empty, but loud. Residual sound clung to the walls like dust in sunlight. Soft, scattered, faint, but undeniably there. Evelyn stepped inside. Her pulse slowed. Her perception sharpened. She lowered her head slightly, listening past the present. Past the quiet. Past the illusion. There. 3 footsteps. Uneven. Heavy. Not hers. Something, or someone, had stood in this room. Recently. She opened her eyes and scanned the floor. The boards had slight indentations, visible only to someone trained to see them. The air tasted like metal. Fear, adrenaline, sweat. Evelyn crouched down and pressed her fingertips to the wood. For a moment. Nothing. Then, her mind shifted. The room rearranged itself behind her closed eyelids. Curtains pulled. Furniture moved 2 inches to the left. A lamp unplugged. Someone pacing. A hand trembling as it held something small and metallic. Then a voice, male, strained, breaking. Lydia. Evelyn's eyes snapped open. Lydia Marsh. Missing. 5 years. No leads. No body. No closure. Her jaw tightened. She stood slowly, her shoulders squared and breath steady. Something brushed the air behind her. Soft crack. Like a tiny gear inside a tiny machine shifting. Evelyn froze. She looked down at her watch. The watch that hadn't moved since the night Lydia disappeared. A single tick echoed through the room. The minute hand trembled. Then shifted forward by 1 second. 3 hours 17 minutes and 1 second. Her heart stopped for a beat. Evelyn had spent years trying to understand what happened the night her watch broke. What she had witnessed. What she had lost. But tonight, for the first time, the watch answered back. She swallowed hard, forcing the calm back into her bones. She scanned the room again. The echo of the footsteps repeated, overlapping with the sound of her own breathing. Residual memories of fear, regret, and something else. Something like guilt. She backed toward the door. Then she noticed it. A faint scratch on the wall, almost invisible in the dark. She ran her fingertips across it. Fresh. Someone had been here. Someone who remembered Lydia Marsh. Someone who wasn't afraid to return to the place they broke. Her voice was low, steady, barely above a whisper. You came back for a reason. And you didn't leave alone. As she stepped into the hallway, the house exhaled. A long, soft groan. Almost relieved. She walked outside, fog swallowing her silhouette. Then her watch clicked again. 3 hours 17 minutes and 2 seconds. And Evelyn Hart did something she hadn't done in years. She looked afraid. Fade to black.